not really talking about it because we're nobody really, but we broke a world record where we literally had the most viewers in a stream of all time. We had 400,000 people at one time viewed us performing live. And at the end of it, we had 1 million individual people tune in.
He's a music artist. You may know him from his songs How About Now or Secret. He has one of the most interesting Instagram usernames ever. Please welcome CerVon Campbell to the podcast.
What does it take? Does it take to make you miss me? I got clout, I got cars, I got house, I got everything I could ever want.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. And just to start on that note, how did you get that Instagram username, or what was the reasoning behind that?
I was like 13, and I was playing this game where you needed like 4 names to make one, and I just kind of kept it going into Instagram, and I didn't know that I couldn't change it at a certain point. So like once I started taking Instagram seriously, by then it was too late. So now I'm just stuck with it.
Alright. Well, now kind of onto the more music-focused stuff. How did you start making music, or when was that something you discovered that you might be interested in?
Well, at first I was doing stand-up, and I talk a lot about like mental health in my music. I started trying to find ways to vent, and I could kind of sort of do it in stand-up, but not fully, so I just started writing poetry, and that just kind of gravitated into like writing for other people. People started asking me to do stuff with them, and then I ended up doing it for myself when I would like make a song for people to say like, yeah, they want it or no, and then I just kind of fell into the groove of it and kept making my own stuff, and I just been here ever since.
And so starting out doing stand-up, kind of, what was that like, and how did you get into that?
Stand-up was, I think even now, stand-up is still one of like my main passions. I started with like, I grew up in the church, so like it was a lot of times I had to speak in front of people, and I did speech and debate in school, so I always like talked in front of people. And I think a lot of people, they have mental health problems, like making other people laugh and feel good is kind of like their main joy. So that's just kind of where I stuck. Like if I can control the mood and like keep everybody, laughing or feeling good, then that's what I'm gonna try to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so is that something you still do now in addition to music, or have you kind of put that on hold to really pursue music?
I put it on hold because I had a bad experience and I just haven't bounced back from it. I got asked to open for this comedian that was like really well known, and it was like a big opportunity. I already was like, going on tour with stand up and everything was good, and I was opening for him, and it was in the span of 4 days, I had 23 shows, and they were all so crammed together in LA, and I got to his show, and I had 6 shows I did before him. So when I got there, I'm about to open for him, and I get there with like 15 minutes like before I go on, and as soon as I get there, they say, hey, you can't do jokes about this, or this. And that was pretty much my whole set. So that happened. I didn't have like no kind of material. So I went up there, and I was supposed to go on for, I think, 15 to 20 minutes. And when I started off pretty good. And then I started just kind of trying to make up jokes or just trying to keep it together. And since I couldn't touch base on like, they told me to stay away from these topics.
Yeah.
I just started bombing so bad to the point when I got off stage, he had to address how bad I did. So that just was an experience where I was like, you know what? I need to take a break from this. And I just haven't really bounced back yet. And I got to kind of work on material.
I'm sure that's hard if you kind of have a set ready to go, and like immediately before you even get up there, like almost all the things on it are just knocked off as options. Like, and then that's and then you really have to just be like on the spot, like quick on your feet, which I don't think people realize. Like when you see stand up, that's some of them might actually just be doing like improv on the spot, but a lot of it is sets. A lot of it is things they've written down beforehand and tested out beforehand and rehearsed and whatnot.
Yeah, stand up is almost just like music, where your timing is everything. So even people that do improv, they kind of have a direction where they're going, and making jokes on the spot. If I'm like in a crowd, like with a group of friends, I might be able to do it and be okay. But on stage, and I have to be careful with being like sensitive to other people and stuff like that. It was a nightmare. So just not ready for that to happen again.
Yeah. And so you stopped doing stand-up, kind of focus more on music. Like what tips or advice would you give people who are now just starting to like take music seriously, trying to get their name out in the music scene?
Well, what I've noticed when I'm still learning is just stay active. As long as you are active and you're trying, you get a long way. And I know it's cliche, but it is so true. But just like be yourself, because I noticed in my career and other people's career, you really start to take your L's when you try to copy other people or be like other people. And it's nothing wrong with taking inspiration and kind of running with it. But when you're like imitating and trying to be other people, it's so much room for error and failure there. So always be yourself, and like I said, just stay active and have a goal. Like me, with everything I do, I have an outline of what I'm about to do next.
Mm-hmm. And so, as well as stand-up, music especially, though, as people try to get into it, as people try to get their names out there, music is a very hard industry to get into. Was there ever a moment where that kind of like discouraged you, or that you thought about taking a break from music?
All the time, like almost every day. I just came from a show. I just did a show in Nashville where they're not really talking about it because we're nobody really, but we broke a world record where we literally had the most viewers in a stream of all time. We had 400,000 people at one time viewed us performing live. And at the end of it, we had 1 million individual people tune in on Reddit. Reddit sponsored us to do a show. And right before it, I was like, this is my last hurrah. I'm out after this. I don't want to do anything else because music is working. Music is working, but it's not fully working. So I have to shift to something I know will work. And I thought that was going to be it. But as soon as it finished, it did well. And then that led to more opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's just risking it and just keeping going because, everybody wants to do this, but you have to take a lot of, L's before you get anywhere with it. So me, I have a little bit of success, but I'm still taking L's as I go. So It's just bouncing back from them.
So 400,000 people concurrent. That's insane. That's an awesome number. Did that kind of, like, during the show, did that kind of give you more confidence to put on a good show, or did that kind of, like, get in your head and, like, make it so you might have messed up?
Kind of both. The plan was we were going for an hour, well, a little over an hour. I was with John Oates. That's the guy. Me and him just made a song together, and it just came out called DMD. And him being as famous as he was doing 40 minutes, and I was going to close the show, and I was going to do 20 minutes, and we was going to have a little bit of quick Q&A. And as soon as he went on, like he did half of one song, and the entire app crashed because it was so many viewers at one time. And then we got it back together. We started again, and then the same thing happened. So the third time we went on, we're just going to have to cut into the show. So they were like, okay, hurry up and get CerVon on. So then I'm like, I was not ready. I had just came out the bathroom. I was eating. So I was not ready at all. So we were in this little small room recording, and like I had just used the bathroom. I'm walking in and I'm trying to quietly eat, and he says, and he started talking about me, introducing me, and he's like, "CerVon," so I'm like putting my stuff down, like now, like I was not ready at all. So like for anybody that did see, probably nobody, I don't know, but anybody that did see, they'll see like how unready I was.
Mm-hmm. Like it was visible how unready you were once you got out there, and how almost taken aback you were by it.
Yeah, I was not ready at all. I didn't even. I even messed up on the song that I performed because I wasn't even planning on performing that one. It's just a lot happened all at one time, and I just kind of had to go with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, like, in life in general, has there been a person, maybe it's a family member or another artist, who has like inspired you, whether just in life or in music?
Yeah, all the time. I write whatever I'm feeling, so I'll get inspired about a lot of different stuff. I have a song "Rest." I wrote it trying to deal with like my uncle had died at the time, so I started writing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote stuff with John. He inspired me to kind of branch off into the music that I'm making now, where it's more instrumental, more like feeling into it. And I'm kind of doing a lot more myself instead of, having a producer, having an engineer, and all these different people involved. So he has been a very big inspiration, especially with the fact, like, just keeping me animate and saying, like, okay, I'm not giving up now. I'm not giving up now. He has kept me rooted in that. Definitely inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And so I can tell a lot of your music is kind of more sentimental stuff, more emotional stuff, sadder stuff. What do you think about the people who kind of listen to music for like that upbeat tempo, the danceability, and just don't really pay attention to the lyrics or what the artist is saying?
I do that a lot too, and I wish I could do that a lot more. But at the same time, I feel like it's really cool to have artists like Frank Ocean, who that album "Blind." I feel like listen to it, it just opens up so much thought for me,
Mm-hmm.
and so many feelings, and not even in a bad way. And I noticed that with like my music, where people listen to it and they felt some kind of way. So I was like, nah, I can't keep making sad stuff, because I want to like help people if they are coming listening to this because of their sadness. So like people who can just listen and be like, man, I'm not feeling nothing, I'm turning up. That's great, because like this week I was supposed to be opening for Lil Pump, and I feel like a lot of his music is like that. And I just felt like we clash, because I'm trying to feel something out here. I'm trying to connect with people, and I know that's not like.
And he's just going for the hits, going for like the loud like music with a rhythmic beat that people jump up and dance to.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of music is really good, but also really damaging, because Lil Pump's whole shtick is, and I say this like all while like I'll still listen to Lil Pump.
Mm-hmm.
His whole shtick is like Harvard dropout. Like he picks on the fact that he dropped out of school, that he's not like the smartest person out here, and it's all the sex, drugs, and whatever. And I mean that's cool at a certain point, but at a certain point you have to address how you're like actually doing and how you're actually feeling, because anybody that is just constantly using drugs and all these other outlets to, express themselves, they're running from stuff. So that kind of music is good for in the moment, but long term, long run, I feel like you need other things to chip in.
Yeah. A lot of that alcohol and drugs is used to kind of drown out or forget whatever they're feeling, when if they have a platform like that, they should use it almost as a way to like get it out, to let people know how they're feeling, or just get it out of their system, out of their body.
Exactly. And the kind of music I make is usually tied to a lot of like sad boy artists who like always talk about like, hey, I'm on drugs because I'm hurting and stuff like that. So I stop drugs. I don't really drink or anything like that, because I'm trying to get away from that. I feel like it's better ways to handle how you're feeling. And I know it sounds corny, because nobody really want to talk about like, oh, I'm sad and it's easier to do this and do that. But, you got to think long term.
Yeah. And so when you're coming up with a new song, when like you're in the creative process, what does it look like? Do you kind of just like have lyrics that you've thought of and then you try to find a beat that works with it? Do you get a beat first and then try to think of lyrics that match up with that? What's that like?
I'm kind of all over the place. Like, I might write 2 lines and have another 2 lines wrote somewhere and just kind of mix it together.
Mm-hmm.
Or just now, like on my way here, I wrote like, I would say like 75% of a song, and I feel like it needs a little more, but I got a lot of the writing out. It's just like however I'm feeling, if I got the words to say, or if I got like a little bit and I can kind of think, oh, this is a cool line, I can add that there. And then once I have that, at a certain point when I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go to the studio or record some stuff, then I'm just kind of like throw everything together and get what I can, and I'm start looking for beats or looking for something to start out with. But the beat that I take to the studio is almost never now the beat that I'm using for the final product. Mm-hmm. It's just something to kind of work with until I get like a good feel. Because I'm trying to move away from like, you know, regular sample packs and stuff like that. Like I want like all instrumentals, like all instruments and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, do you think your music, do you think there are like hints of other artists or inspiration from other artists, or do you think you've kind of carved out your own path and made your own unique sound in music?
I feel like I've done a little bit of both, but like the people I listen to are definitely, you know, around in my music because it's a group, AJR. I love their production, mm-hmm. and that has inspired me into the way I'm doing my music now with like the build up and the adding. They do a lot this thing where it's like they'll have the simplest little sound or drum or whatever in the background that you won't notice, but in the end it all ties together. They just add stuff little by little, and you might not notice it, but it creates such a fuller sound. So that's a big part of what I'm doing now.
And AJR, they have that build-up like you mentioned, but also like you're trying to do, they're very instrumental. They use some like packs or sound effects now and then, but they have a lot of like trumpet sounds, like a lot of other instrument sounds in their songs.
Yeah, and I love it. It really creates a feeling in the song. I feel like, you know, like when we're using beats, it's something that like, a lot of times it can really generate something, but when you're using like straight instruments, it really just creates a feeling inside it. And I don't know, it's really cool. It creates an emotion in there, mm-hmm. and it
gives it almost like a homemade or a raw feeling.
Exactly. Like a beat pad sometimes just sounds artificial. It's not fully anything.
Mm-hmm. And so right now, if you like had the choice to make a song with any artist in the world, who do you think that would be?
Anybody. Andre 3000. That's probably my first choice. Andre 3000.
And do you have any like reasoning behind that? You think you have like similar sounds? You think you could build off each other? Why?
He's just such a peaceful, poetic person. Where I don't know. Did you listen to you know, the Donda album, Kanye's new album?
Yeah.
They have a song that leaked on there, and Andre is like, he has a verse. He's talking about his mom, and it's just so poetic and full of love. Like you can hear like emotion in his voice, and I feel like a lot of artists don't have that, and I think that it's just really cool. Like I love it. He's a big inspiration for me as well.
Mm-hmm. And so, if you have them, I'm sure it's hard to come up with a list just because there are so many out there. But do you have a top 3 artists? And that could be like any genre of music.
Top 3 artists. If I'm going rap music, I'm a top 3. And I don't even base this off like my preference of music, just artists who have really just dominated. I'll say top 3 would be Andre 3000, Eminem, and Drake. I feel like those are the top 3 who have just dominated rap music. Mm-hmm. But in general, I probably have to put like Queen in there and music, like some kind of rock band. But I really don't know. I don't have a list together.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make one.
Yeah. And do you have a top 3 albums of all time or something like that?
Oh, definitely. The best album of all time, as of right now, I will argue against any album. The best album of all time is 3 by the Lumineers. That is my all-time favorite album.
Yeah.
After that, maybe either Delta by Mumford & Son, Melodrama by Lord, or Good For You by Mine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so
those are the albums that I can go with, like, absolutely no skips. Like, each song is perfect.
yeah, great albums, all of them. And also 3 by Lumineers. What do you think is it to you that just makes it like so perfect, makes it that masterpiece?
They do the thing where they get the instruments in it, the length of it, the words, the way they sing the words, and it tells a story. There's so much emotion involved in it, and it's so poetic. If you listen to like the words of it, the way they sing it, they even have like a series of music videos that tell a story, and all the songs are connected. It's such a experience. It's like really impactful music, and I didn't have the same, experience that the album is talking about, but I feel like I can sympathize and like, feel what they went through or the writer went through based on the album.
Yeah. And so in the past or through your career, you've also, on top of stand-up, on top of music, you've also been credited as a screenwriter and actor. What did you work on for those? And, like, what was that like? Kind of something a bit different from what you've been doing.
The screenwriter is new. I just got, I've been working with, like, different platforms with a few things, with, like, a show and a movie that I really want to see, kind of come to fruition. So that one's new. I had that. Oh, I worked with somebody that had that one. Had it. Acting, I have 3 things that I've been in, like 2 failed pilots and a movie that I got cut out of. So I can't even really say I'm an actor. I can't say I'm either one of them.
Mm-hmm. And kind of what was that like, or like how'd you get into that? Yeah, we'll start off with that. How'd you get into that? How'd you find the opportunity to become a screenwriter or an actor?
Well, acting, I always wanted to move into like entertainment in that field, like, movies and stuff like that. Like, I've seen almost every movie, and if I haven't, I'll watch any movie because, I don't know, I'm a big movie buff, and I do, like, full reviews to myself and the people around me. I love everything about movies. Mm-hmm. So I want to be in them. So I auditioned, and, like, for a lot of the stuff that I was in, I really, like, busted my ass for. Like, the movie that I was cut from, I had to train. I had to do so much just for all of my scenes to get cut.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I think the movie was planned to have a sequel. And then they found out that they weren't going to get a sequel before the movie came out. Like, they were just like, no, we're not going to do it. So they had to cut ties with the plot lines that was setting up for a sequel.
Yeah.
And that was my parts. So, like, I had a ton of choreographed stuff that I had to learn how to do, like, for fight scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of a window and had to land on this, like, big old foam thing all for nothing. Like, I had a whole little mini fight scene. The dude kicks me out of a window, and that's it. That was nothing.
Yeah, and I'm sure it must suck going through all that work.
I had to swim like a full mile for a scene for nothing. It was just like a bunch of...
They actually had you swim a mile, like the distance of a mile?
Yeah, like, it was parts where, like, I had to stay, like, I'll stop, and they'll have a boat, like, and I'm just sitting there, like, in the water still, and I'm chilling, waiting, then they go again, and I'll swim out a little bit more, stop, we'll go again, all for nothing. I don't consider it a bad experience because it was, like, a couple celebrities there, and it was, like, really cool meeting celebrities you see on TV. Mm-hmm. But other than that, big waste of time.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's, like, music, eventually you do shows in front of a crowd, stand up, obviously, you're there with people in front of you. What was it kind of refreshing to have a movie where like you can do multiple takes, you don't have people directly watching you, it's through a camera. Like, what was that like?
That was like, I like that, but at the same time, I hate when it's like, if you're not doing it right, or like you have a director, you have somebody to say,
Yeah.
no, that's not good, try it again. With music, you don't really have that. You just kind of, you mess up, you keep going, you try to recover from it. So like if you do a scene bad, I feel like it can really work on your insecurities and stress level, because you keep having to say, okay, I'm not doing this right. And you're around all these like really talented people who like take this serious and they really do this. So it was nerve wracking in that sense. But I mean, all in all, I feel like I'll say like I did my part, even though it got cut. I did my part.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are all the questions I had for you today. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a great conversation. Where can people find you? Your music, your Instagram, anything you have. Where can they find you?
My music is available everywhere. Under CerVon Campbell, CerVon, and I'm on Instagram as Sex Monkey Limo Driver.
All right. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, I appreciate it.